Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive? Today we're tackling a topic that's both fascinating and a little bit unnerving, AI in cybersecurity.
Yeah, it's kind of like we're in this digital arms race, right?
Exactly. AI is being used to create stronger defenses, but it's also giving attackers some powerful new weapons.
It really has changed the whole game.
Yeah, think about it. Even a few years ago, the threats were simpler: malware, ransomware. It was all pretty straightforward.
Oh, totally. But now, things are changing so fast. We're seeing AI-powered attacks that can learn and adapt, making those old defenses practically useless.
It's kind of scary when you think about it.
It is, yeah.
Like, I was reading about how deep fakes, those super realistic fake videos, are being used to fool security systems now.
Oh, yeah, deepfakes are a huge concern. Imagine, like, an AI creating a deepfake video that's so real it can bypass facial recognition or even voice authentication.
That seems like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
I know, right? And that's just one example. AI is also being used to make phishing attacks way more sophisticated.
Oh, phishing, yeah. I remember those spam emails trying to trick you into giving up your passwords and stuff.
Right, but those are pretty generic. Now, an AI can analyze your online behavior, like what you post on social media, the websites you visit, all that, and then it can craft an email that's specifically designed to trick you.
So it's not just random spam anymore.
Not even close. We're talking about personalized traps, basically exploiting your individual weaknesses.
Wow, that's pretty unsettling.
It is, yeah, but there's also good news. AI isn't just a tool for the bad guys, it's also becoming our most powerful weapon in this fight.
Okay, so let's talk about that. How is AI being used to actually make us more secure? What can it do that humans can't?
Well, for one thing, AI is amazing at detecting anomalies in real time. Think of it like having a security guard that never sleeps, constantly watching your network for anything suspicious.
So it's like having a super vigilant guard who can spot things that humans might miss.
Exactly. And AI can do this at a scale and speed that's just impossible for humans. Like if someone suddenly starts accessing files they never have before, or if there's a weird spike in data transfers late at night, AI can flag that instantly.
That's pretty impressive, but it sounds like AI is more than just reactive. Can it also help us anticipate attacks before they happen?
It can. That's where behavioral analysis comes in. AI can learn what's normal for each user on a network, what websites they visit, what files they access, even their typical login times. Then if it sees something that deviates from that baseline, it knows something might be wrong.
So like, if I suddenly try to download a ton of sensitive data that I've never accessed before, AI would be like, hold on, something's titchy here.
Exactly. It's like having a detective constantly looking for clues that might point to an attack.
That's fascinating. It seems like AI is taking cybersecurity from reactive to proactive, which is a huge shift.
Totally. And it goes even further. AI can actually predict potential vulnerabilities before they're even exploited.
Wait, really? How is that possible?
Where AI can analyze tons of data, past attack patterns, current trends in malware, even chatter on social media. By looking for patterns and connections, it can pinpoint weaknesses in systems and forecast where future attacks might happen.
So it's not just about responding to attacks as they happen. AI is helping us anticipate where the next attack might come from and actually strengthen our defenses in advance.
Exactly.
That's a real game changer. Can you give us a specific example of how this predictive capability would work in the real world?
Sure. Let's say there's a big global event, like a major election or a natural disaster. Hackers love to exploit these situations, launching phishing campaigns, spreading disinformation.
Right, because everyone's distracted and maybe a little more vulnerable.
Exactly. But AI can analyze trends related to that event and predict what kind of cyber attacks might happen. That gives organizations a chance to, get ahead of it and protect themselves.
That's incredible. It really seems like AI is ushering in a whole new era of cybersecurity, one where we can actually stay ahead of the curve instead of always playing catch-up.
Yeah, it's really exciting stuff.
So who are the big players in this AI-driven cybersecurity world? What companies are leading the charge?
There are a bunch doing great work, but one that really stands out is Darktrace. They use something called unsupervised machine learning.
Unsupervised machine learning. That sounds pretty complex.
It is, but basically it means their AI learns on the fly, constantly adapting to new threats in real time.
So instead of relying on pre-programmed rules to spot threats, their AI is always evolving and learning.
Yeah, it's kind of like a digital immune system for your network.
That sounds incredibly powerful, especially when it comes to those zero-day attacks, the ones that exploit vulnerabilities no one knows about yet.
Exactly. Traditional security systems can be totally blindsided by those, but Darktrace's AI can detect unusual activity even if it's never seen that specific threat before.
Wow. So what about other companies?
Another one doing really interesting work is CrowdStrike. They offer AI-powered threat hunting tools that are actually affordable for smaller businesses.
So AI cybersecurity isn't just for big corporations anymore.
Nope. It's becoming more accessible, which is super important for leveling the playing field against cybercriminals. And there's another thing, AI is really good at helping you recover after a breach.
Oh, right, because even with the best defenses, sometimes attacks still get through?
Yeah, unfortunately. But AI can help you figure out what happened, identify the weak points that were exploited, and speed up the whole recovery process.
It's like having a 2047 forensic expert on hand.
Yeah, exactly. But, we've been talking about the good side of AI, but we can't ignore the potential downsides.
Right. Like any powerful tool, it can be used for good or bad. And that's exactly what we're going to explore next. So we've talked about how AI can be this incredible force for good in cybersecurity, but you also mentioned the potential for misuse. What about the darker side of AI? How could this technology be weaponized by the bad guys?
Well, imagine like a nation state or even a really well-organized cybercrime group. They could use AI to launch these massive coordinated attacks.
So we're not just talking about stealing data here, we're talking about something bigger.
Oh yeah, much bigger. Think about disrupting critical infrastructure.
Like power grids, financial systems.
Exactly. Or even like manipulating public opinion through AI-powered disinformation campaigns. It's scary stuff.
That's a pretty sobering thought. Sounds like AI could really up the ante when it comes to cyber warfare, but how exactly would that work? How could AI be used to carry out these kinds of attacks?
Well, for one thing, AI could be used to create malware that's not only more powerful, but also much harder to detect.
So even more dangerous than the malware we see today.
Oh yeah, way more. Imagine a virus that's constantly mutating, evolving so fast that our current security systems can't keep up.
That sounds like a nightmare scenario.
It is, and it could get even worse. AI could be used to exploit vulnerabilities that we don't even know about yet.
So it's like a constant arms race where the attackers are always one step ahead. It's kind of overwhelming to think about.
I know, it can feel that way. But knowledge is power, right? The more we understand about these threats, the better prepared we'll be to defend against them.
Absolutely. So beyond just being aware of the problem, what can we actually do about it? What concrete steps can individuals and organizations take to mitigate these risks?
Well, first and foremost, we need to invest in advanced AI-powered defense systems.
So fighting fire with fire, basically.
Kind of, yeah. We need to develop AI systems that can keep pace with the threats, anticipate attacks, and protect us from the more sophisticated malware that's being created. It's an ongoing process.
It sounds like we need our own AI superheroes to combat the AI villains.
Huh. In a way, yeah. We need to be constantly innovating and pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
But technology alone isn't enough, right?
Definitely not. We also need to focus on education and training. Cybersecurity professionals need to understand how AI works, both offensively and defensively. We need a whole new generation of experts who are fluent in the language of AI.
That makes sense. We need to upskill the workforce so they're ready for this new reality. But what about the average person who's not a cybersecurity expert? What can we do to protect ourselves from AI-powered attacks? It can feel like a lot of this is out of our control.
I hear you, but honestly, a lot of the basic cybersecurity advice still applies, even in the age of AI.
Like being careful about the links you click and the attachments you open.
Exactly. Don't fall for phishing scams, use strong passwords, and keep your software up to date. These are all fundamental steps that can make a big difference.
So vigilance is still key. But with AI making phishing attacks so convincing, how can we even tell what's real and what's a trap?
It's getting harder, for sure, but there are still some red flags to watch out for.
Like what?
Well, sometimes AI-generated content, like emails or social media posts, will have these subtle inconsistencies or unnatural language patterns. It's like they don't quite sound right.
So pay attention to the details. If something seems a little off, maybe it's a scam.
Exactly. Trust your gut. And always verify the sender's identity before you click on anything or open an attachment. Don't just assume that email from your bank is actually from your bank. Take a second to double check.
That's good advice. It sounds like we all need to be a lot more discerning, more skeptical in the digital world. We can't just passively consume information anymore.
You got it. Critical thinking is essential. Don't just accept anything you see online as fact. Question your assumptions, check multiple sources, and be aware of your own biases. The more you use those critical thinking skills, the better equipped you'll be to navigate this crazy online world.
It's like we need to level up our digital literacy skills.
Exactly. Be more aware, more cautious, more critical. It's a whole new way of thinking about online safety.
Well said. So we've talked about the risks, the defenses, what individuals can do. But I'm curious, where do you see this digital arms race heading in the future? What's the next chapter in this story?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Unfortunately, I don't have a crystal ball. But I can tell you this, the pace of innovation in both AI and cybersecurity is only going to accelerate. It's going to be a constant back and forth as attackers and defenders try to outsmart each other.
So we're in for a wild ride. Do you think AI will ultimately give the advantage to the defenders or the attackers?
It's tough to say. Attackers will always be looking for new ways to exploit weaknesses, and defenders will have to constantly adapt. It's a game of cat and mouse, really. But AI can definitely help us stay ahead of the curve by predicting and preparing for attacks before they happen.
It's a high-stakes game, that's for sure. So, given everything we've discussed, what do you think are the biggest challenges we need to address to make sure AI is used responsibly and effectively in cybersecurity?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is the lack of transparency in a lot of AI systems.
What do you mean by that?
Well, we need AI models that are explainable, but we can understand. We need to know how AI is making decisions, especially when those decisions have big consequences for our security. We can't just blindly trust these black boxes.
That makes sense. We need to know why and how AI is working if we're going to entrust our security to it.
Exactly. And another big concern is the potential for bias in AI. If the data that AI learns from is biased, then the AI itself can become biased. And in cybersecurity, that could lead to some really unfair outcomes.
That's a really important point. We need to make sure that AI is used ethically, that it's not perpetuating existing inequalities.
Absolutely. AI should be a force for good, not for harm. And that's something we all need to be thinking about.
So it sounds like we're at a critical point where we need to have some serious discussions about the ethical implications of AI, especially as it becomes more and more integrated into our lives.
I think that's spot on. It's not take a technical issue, it's a society issue. We need to have a broader conversation about the role we want AI to play in our world and how we can make sure it's used responsibly for the benefit of everyone.
Well said. It feels like we've covered a lot of ground today, from the exciting possibilities of AI-powered defenses to the potential dangers of AI-driven attacks. It's a complex and constantly changing landscape, that's for sure.
It is, but ultimately, the future of cybersecurity is in our hands.
Wow, we've really been through the looking glass today, haven't we? AI and cybersecurity, it's a whole new world out there.
It really is, and it's changing so fast.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen how AI can be this amazing tool for defense, but also how it could be used to create, like, super-powered cyber attacks.
It's a lot to take in.
It is, but that's why we do these deep dives, right? To help everyone understand this stuff.
Exactly. Knowledge is power.
So before we wrap things up, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about. Knowing what you now know about this AI-powered cybersecurity landscape, what can you do as an individual to stay safer online?
That's a great question. And, you don't have to become a cybersecurity whiz overnight. A lot of it comes down to just being more aware, more cautious.
Like really thinking about your online habits?
Exactly. Think about the links you click, the information you share, the passwords you use. Are you doing everything you can to protect yourself?
Yeah, it's easy to just click on things without thinking, especially when they look so real. But, I mean, we've talked about how AI makes it super easy to create really convincing scams.
Right, so double check those email addresses, hover over links before you click them, and don't give away personal information unless you're absolutely sure it's safe. And always remember, if something online seems too good to be true, it probably is.
It's like we all need to develop a sixth sense for spotting suspicious activity.
Ha, I like that. It's about being proactive, not just assuming you're safe.
And stay informed, right? Keep up with the latest scams and threats.
Definitely. Make sure your software's up to date, and if something just feels off, trust your gut. Take a step back and think before you click.
Great advice. So the key takeaway here is this isn't a one-time thing. AI and cybersecurity is a constantly evolving landscape.
It really is. So stay curious, read articles, follow experts, keep learning. The more you know, the better prepared you'll be.
Well said. We hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into AI and cybersecurity. It's a complex topic, but hopefully you feel a little more empowered to navigate the digital world safely.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us, and until next time, stay safe out there.
See you next time. POCI.